City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, December the 2nd, 2025, 6 o'clock. We'd like to welcome Pastor John McMahon from the Community Apostolic Church of Darlington out on the 52 Highway, North Governor Williams Highway. Which will come and say a prayer for us tonight. We appreciate you coming tonight. Yes.
Let's pray. Lord Jesus, we love you, God. We praise your name, Lord. We thank you for all your many blessings, Lord. We just ask you, Lord, to be with this council meeting tonight, Lord. Touch each one here tonight, Lord. We just ask, God, that you would keep great peace, Lord, and bring unity among the city, God, among the council members, Lord Jesus. And Lord, we just ask you, God, to touch all the firefighters and civil workers, Lord, the police officers, Lord. We ask you, Lord, to keep them safe, Lord, as they're out working in these streets. And Lord, we just ask you, God, just to help us, Lord, to just come to you, Lord Jesus. And Lord, bless this city, bless this county, and bless this meeting. In Jesus' precious name, we thank you for Mayor Boyd and all that he is doing. And Lord, we just ask you, Lord, to uphold him and keep him in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. For the church, good too. He's a great guy out there. All right, we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to open up the public hearing on the increase of outside city water rates. If there's anybody that would like to have anything to come forward with, the floor open.
I have some. How much is the increase?
It was a 30% increase.
Is this only for the residents outside of the city
Yes, ma'am.
limit and
Outside.
only for the businesses outside?
It's been residential and commercial outside the city limits, for city and for.
Okay. And when does this go into effect?
It was January 1st.
Okay. And this, so we're having a public hearing again during the course of a regular meeting?
Yes, ma'am, that's how we do it. So it's been done for years. Yes, ma'am, we've already
No,
spoken to you about
it
that.
has not always been done.
Well, that's how we're doing it now. We're clarified this fine to do that.
May I finish speaking without interruptions, please? So has the citizens been given proper notifications? Because if we're passing this tonight, because I see it's on the agenda, they wouldn't have much notice to know that their bill is going to be increased 30%. So what has the city done to make them aware of this?
Ms. Humphrey.
It was placed in the paper last Wednesday regarding the public hearing on this tonight. The first reading was last month. We read that out loud for your hearing, and then we placed the notice in the paper as well last week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So, but how, are we only supposed to have one public hearing or more than one?
Just one public hearing. Okay. Anybody else?
Oh, no, I just saw you.
Yes, ma'am.
May I add that in some cases, the public meeting is not required, but because these rates are changing, this precipitated having a public hearing and placing it in the paper and doing the 2 readings. But not every action will require a public hearing. However, the ordinance does say that if 2, I think, members of the council request a public hearing, then they can also have that.
So if this is a success for the outside residents bringing in revenue to the city, are y'all thinking about doing it for the residents in the city?
No, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's stand this time. Good evening. The council wish to, I'm making a statement on their behalf. We wish to make it equitable, if that's the word I would use, between inside residential and commercial users and outside residential and commercial users for water and sewer distribution collections. The current way that it has been for some time before I got here, you have a base rate and then you have a tiered rate that did not exist with outside customers. So we're just trying to even that up. And then also because they're outside, and the mayor has said multiple times, we wish that you would come in if you all are out there considering annexing into the city, to allow that 30% increase, to kind of make it equitable to what inside residential users are experiencing right now, if that makes, answer your question?
Thank you,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Hawkins. That's an excellent explanation and I appreciate it. Because while 30% seems really high, what you're saying has been low compared to the residents. So you are making this significant increase higher to make things more equitable within inside residents and outside residents.
It is an attempt not only to, well, mostly to make sure that whether you're inside or outside, you are contributing to the system, right? We had take note that some users were paying more inside than an outside user, and that outside user was using more or sending more sewage, if that's the case. So we're just trying to kind of even that up, and it probably is I think the council would agree, behind time, we probably should have done it sometime earlier. Have everybody on the tiered system.
Well, again, I appreciate that, because when Howard Garland was our city manager, we actually did have separate public hearings, so that the public had an opportunity to understand why their rates was going up. With the last city manager, however, they combined them, and so we never got an explanation, at least I haven't, until tonight. So I appreciate you, as our city manager, taking the time to explain everything to us, because my first response is, why so high? But the reality of the situation, it has been extremely low, and you're trying to make things equitable. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Other comments? We'll close the public hearing now. Thank you everyone for your comments. Regular City Council meeting, approval of minutes for the November the 5th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll motion to approve the regular city council meeting minutes.
Before we do that, I think there's an amendment that needed to be done for the agenda. So I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to include an Arbor Day proclamation. Can I get a second?
Second.
That motion.
You want to put that at the beginning of new business?
It's, yeah,
Do you want to do that first?
under
Do that
citizens,
last?
under citizens, which you can speak as how
You want to
That's
do it?
fine.
the first thing underneath citizens wishing to appear before council, will be right after that.
Yes, that's fine.
I mean, that's all business is next. I mean, after citizens wish to speak.
So it's before old business,
Just want to go right before all business.
yes.
So that's not how it is.
On the,
Oh,
the
okay.
agenda that you printed.
Oh, we got a new one.
All right.
No, this is,
All right, we have a motion to approve.
So it was seconded by, I did.
okay. Oh, I was just saying that when I got there.
Second, Mrs. Reed.
certain that underneath, to advance and underneath, new business where we are doing the approval of the 2026 regular council meetings, so that's also including work sessions or our full schedule, so we are.
So that'll be 6.
Approve those, we probably need to wait till Mr. Millen's here to discuss those also.
Excuse me, we have,
On the
we
15th.
have a quorum. Whether he's here or not, doesn't change the fact that you have a legal quorum.
We don't have to approve the work session. All right. Okay, citizens wishing to appear, we'll get back. Approval of minutes, do I have a motion to approve the minutes
I
of
so
the
moved the
city
minutes.
council meeting November the 5th, 2025?
I did motion to approve, I'll do it again.
Do I have a
Motion.
second?
One second.
Ms. Backus? Ms. Reed? Mr. Peters? Aye, motion is carried, thank you. There was nobody signed up for citizens wishing to speak. All right, proclamation. Mr. Craig, would you like to read this? Mr. Craig. I don't think so, John, you just want to read it for both of the time.
So a proclamation, whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperatures, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, Mayor Curtis Boyd and the Council of Darlington do hereby proclaim December 12, 2025 as Arbor Day in the city of Darlington, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations, dated this second day of December 2025.
Thank you. Just be great. And give that person. Thank you. All right, very good. Thank you. Old business, ordinance 2025-07 to approve the sale, transfer, and/or conveyance of real property owned by the city of Darlington and identified as 3.51 acres on Harry Byrd Highway, Charleston, South Carolina, 29532. TMS -126-00-02-098 to Venue 151 LLC for the first reading. Have a motion to approve that?
Is this what we,
So we make a motion and then there's a discussion. So I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-07 to approve the sale, transfer, and/or conveyance of real property owned by the city of Darlington and identified as 3.51 acres on Harry Byrd Highway.
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Backus? Mr. Gardner? Mr. Seegers? Motion is carried. Thank you. All right,
We're supposed to have to do the discussion before the vote. This discussion is supposed to be.
all right, do I have a motion to approve the ordinance 2025-08 to approve the sale, transfer, and/or conveyance of real property owned by the city of Darlington and identified as 107.87 acres
number.
Darlington, South Carolina, 29532. TMS, it's 126-00-02-063. To Austin Boys, first reading.
I'll need to recuse myself because this is my cousin. I will note though that the property was actually sold to Payne Concrete Company and not to Austin Boys. I don't know how that got put on there. I'll recuse myself as my cousin.
So that needs to be changed?
I
The
can't
latest
speak on
one I
the
had
subject.
had to kind of pay the company, but
So, change the comment of payment company.
kind of pay the company.
I'll step out.
Say it again.
Change it to, instead of Austin Boys, to comment of payment company.
Okay, it's that way on the order, it's actually written that way on the ordinance. The ordinance says Palmetto Concrete and Company LLC. So it's correct on the ordinance, the actual ordinance. So I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-08.
I'll second.
Ms. Backus.
Ms. Reed?
So now we get an opportunity to have a discussion
Right.
between. So I will, for public knowledge, both of these properties have already been sold. The reason we're doing an ordinance now, we're sort of having to backtrack because the property was purchased and sold, not exactly following state law. Any property that's being purchased or sold is supposed to be done by an ordinance. And unfortunately, that was not done several years ago when the land was purchased, nor was it done when it was sold. So in an effort to follow state law, we are now backtracking and trying to make certain we put in place the ordinances needed for these properties. So that's the purpose of that. It's not, now this is basically a formality. Typically, there should have been an ordinance, a public hearing to give you an opportunity to express your concerns or suggestions about the purchase of the property and how we're spending your money, and even about the sale. But that part won't happen now, but we are at least putting the ordinances on the books so that we can comply.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Reed, you voted correct? Okay, good. All yeses. All right, thank you. All right, new business,
Gardner needs to come back.
Sustainability Partners, Ms. Hawkins.
Mr. Mayor, we failed to put ordinance 2025-06
Yeah.
on the agenda, but you have a copy of it there. I guess that was an inadvertent. We did put the public hearing on there, but we don't have it as an ordinance to be read second reading.
So do we need to amend the agenda again to put this on there?
Yes, sir, please. If we want it to be ready for next month.
Okay, so,
When Mr. Yard comes
we waiting on, are we waiting on, Brian to get back?
No, you're fine.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
Okay, so we'll need to amend the agenda again to add the ordinance number 2025-06 that was left off the agenda.
I'll make a motion
Amend
then
both
to,
residential and commercial outside water and sewer rates, increasing them by 30% and establishing a tiered usage rate structure.
I'd like to, I hate to do this, guys, but I'd like to object. I mean, this is an ordinance changing people's rates. Wasn't put on the agenda. I'm sorry. We just gotta do a little better about being organized, I guess. But y'all can, I'm one vote.
but this is to amend. Is this right here? of the public hearing?
No, just a motion to amend it if you so choose.
No, okay. The ordinance that you explained about the rates outside of the city limits. An ordinance needed to be done for that. Yeah, I understand. I'm saying that's what this amendment is, so I can explain what it seems like we're just going over the very same thing. But for us to follow the rules and be in order according to state law, we must do these things. So I'm making a motion to amend our agenda to include ordinance number 2025-06 to amend both residential and commercial outside water and sewer rates, increasing them by 30% and establishing a tiered usage rate structure.
So second,
I'll second.
Ms. Reed, Ms. Backus, Mr. Seegers. So public knows it was,
And I vote no.
it's all being, and Mr. Carter voted no, it was all being done by, as it should be, but it got left out from being typed onto the agenda, so.
We will allow
All right,
input of the
so we've amended it, now do I have a motion to approve the ordinance number 2025-06 to amend both residential and commercial outside water and sewer rates, increasing them by 30% and establishing a tiered usage rate structure. Do I have a motion to approve that ordinance for first reading?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-06.
second.
Ms. Backus? Mr. Martin? And Mr. Seegers? Motion's carried, thank you. All right, new business, sustainability partners, Mrs. Hawkins.
A few months ago, Representative Williams put me in touch with Sustainability Partners. I spoke with them. They were eager to present to you, City Council, regarding how they might help the city take care of some of the things that we need to take care of. So I'm going to unmute them. Hi, gentlemen. Can you hear me? If y'all would unmute, come in.
Should I cut the lights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Hello, Ms. Hawkins.
That's Mr. Bert Carson. We also have Nathan Nguyen. And y'all take it away. Y'all want to come on the camera? You can. We have you on the overhead projector.
Okay. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you got me on the overhead for camera or whatever. You want me to just start tell you about us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Great. Hey, thanks for letting us join y'all tonight. My name is Bert Carson with Sustainability Partners. I've been with the company from the very beginning, a little over 10 years ago. And so what we do is we're very unique type of funding. So unlike traditional funding of bonds and loans and that kind of thing, what we do is we look at a project and we call it infrastructure as a service. So to give you an example of that, I'm sure you used to like software, you had to buy software, as it all came out, but now you pay like a subscription and it keeps it up to date. Or the copy machine scenario, you bring the copy machine in, you don't worry about ink or paper or anything, you just pay so much per copy. We've kind of taken that same utility model like the electric company of, when you have lights on, you pay for it, and a transformer blows or whatever, you don't care. We've taken that same model and brought it to infrastructure as a service. So what does that mean? So what that means is we'll look at a project of whatever it is you want to do, and we look at the lifespan of it, and we kind of make our model, stretch it out over that lifespan in the sense of we buy the infrastructure product, whatever that may be. We also install it, build it, whatever it may be. But we also maintain, repair, replace it as needed. So that's what's very unique about us in the sense of from traditional funding. When you get into something, it's still your responsibility to make sure that it's working, it's going. And if it doesn't, they don't care. They want you to keep making that payment. Where with us, if it stops working, that what we call our monthly usage fee immediately stops until we fix, replace, repair, whatever the situation is that we will do. And with that, also, you don't make the first monthly usage fee payment until 30 days after the project is done. So again, think of your traditional funding. You may be working on a project for 2 years. You're paying on that traditional funding for 2 years without any use of whatever that item may be. That's not how we work. We have it to where you are using that infrastructure for at least 30 days before we make the first, or before you have to make the first monthly usage fee. We don't do any kind of UCC filings. We don't do any kind of revenue share. It's not like an ESCO. And literally how it works is, and I'll try to see if I can make it work with my camera. So what we've seen is debt in this country has gone up and infrastructure has gone down. But what we're doing with our model is we're keeping your infrastructure constantly improving, and we keep that monthly usage fee more or less steady. And because our monthly usage fee has a little bit of flexibility, it follows the Cabela law, which means that it's not debt on your books. So again, we're just like your electric bill. Wherever your electric bill is, or in your books, that's where we would be, because we are a service, where infrastructure is a service. Some other things with us is we don't mark up any goods or services. So we're very, we're bringing the project to you at whatever the cost of that project is. We do have a, 80 basis points fee that we charge, and that's kind of where we make our money. Our money does come in from the same places as, the bond market. So it's these same pension funds, insurance funds, teachers union funds, those kind of things. We also kind of mitigate a lot of risk. So again, we're putting up all of our money up front, doing the project, and if it's not working, it's not what you want it to be, you want something changed, then you don't sign off on it, and we've got to go fix that. So that mitigates that risk of, again, as people say, the Ford, the Chevy, the Dodge, like, did I get the right car or whatever it may be? We mitigate that risk. We also mitigate a risk in the sense of a little bit like an insurance policy. So we mitigate that risk on a black swan event. So going back to COVID-19, we had a lot of customers that, they did a lot of water projects with us, and they couldn't collect, the fees from people because no one was working. The governor said, hey, you can't cut people's water off, so they're calling us up like, hey, we have no revenue coming in. We're not going to be able to make those monthly usage fees. And we was like, hey, that's fine. So we suspended their usage fees, some for 3 months, some for 6 months, till they got back on their feet. And so when they came back, they were like, well, how much do we need to add on to like catch up? And we're like, nothing. And they're like, oh, okay, so are you putting it on the backside? And we're like, no, because here's our other thing is our contract, which is only a 10-page contract, is every 30 days. So every 30 days you can get out of our contract. So there is no back end. And so our philosophy is we're trying to develop 100-year customers with the cities and with these, pension funds, whatever it may be. And so If you don't make those payments for 6 months and 100 years, that's fine. That's not what we're looking for. And so again, we're also the people that we're not just handing you money, we do that project, and we're not expecting you to keep paying this for the next 100 years. No, we're going to constantly be deploying money because as these items get close to their useful life and you want to stay with us, we're replacing all those items again. So we're constantly deploying money, which again, no one else does. I'm trying to think of some other stuff. Again, with our investors, they're trying to have that relationship, and so they're willing to do, a very, like single-digit yield, and that yield's based on you staying with them for the entire time. Again, it's not an interest rate. It's not a typical loan. And as far as infrastructure, that's a loose term for us. And so we can kind of do anything you're looking for. I think one of y'all's main goals is workforce housing. And so again, that's, something that we can do. That's one of our wheelhouses that we've done before. We do a lot of water projects, water meters, those kind of things. And again, just to kind of let you know, like say in the case of a water meter, that's kind of low-hanging fruit, that because of the way our system and our model works, you actually make more in additional revenue than you pay us in a monthly usage fee. So we do have a lot of our revenue generating infrastructure items to where you're making money in month number 1, which again is unheard of. So I'll kind of end it at that. I might have, forgot some things. I don't know if Nathan wants to throw anything else out there, but, kind of open it up for questions.
Can you give us an example of a project that you've done for a smaller city?
I mean, is there a particular project you have in mind, or?
Well, fire trucks, buildings, facilities.
Yeah, okay, so
Patrol
let me
cars.
I'll give you a couple of examples. So we had a city that was about to be taken over by the state. We went in and, again, we feel like water meters are a very important thing to a city because that's your cash register. So we went in and we did their water meters, and because they were, I think 40, 50 years old or whatever, they had about a 52% increase in revenue. And so because of that, we were able to show them how to reinvest that extra money into other projects using our model, and they ended up paying off $1 million loan and a $3 million upgrade to their sewer system. So they got all new meters, paid off a loan to federal government, and $3 million worth of upgrades. And it literally cost the city zero from the very beginning to even with that, because of the new revenue we developed for them. There's another city of 1,001 people. We didn't do the water meters. In less than 18 months, they had over $100,000 sitting in an account that is normally zero. They were able to then start being able to buy, lawnmower equipment and bulldozers and things that they needed for years and years, to the point of now that city has people moving back in, building houses again. I don't know how familiar y'all may be with Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi was a total catastrophe with their water meters all went out. They had to sue the company, get the money back. We went in with water meters, increased their revenue by unbelievable amounts overnight. And in fact, even though the federal government came in with the, Justice Department or whatever it may be, they literally fired every vendor associated with the city of Jackson, Mississippi, except for us, because we were in there trying to do the right thing. Again, Pearl River, Louisiana, was collecting $14,000 a month, and after we put in the meters, was collecting about 40-something thousand a month and paying us $5. So they had, 400% increase there. I mean, I can go on and on like that if that's what you're looking for.
Well, like, for example, we have, a company that's looking to come in, a developer, and put approximately 140 houses in the area. There's gonna need to be.
I can barely hear who's talking.
Okay, hold on, let me turn it up.
Where's the mic at?
Try it again, Mayor.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear him
Barely, but we'll try. Let's see.
All right, can you hear me better?
Can you hear now?
Can you hear me better now? Can you hear me?
Bert,
Yes.
can you hear the mayor now?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we have a developer looking to put homes, approximately 140 homes in the area, in the city limits.
They can't hear you.
It's cut off. It's cut out.
Ms. Hawkins, you may just want to repeat his question.
If they put 140 houses in there, we need to put a new water tower in, a new water structure over there. That would eventually bring us some more tax base in, but it's not like the water meters where it's automatically gonna understand what he's talking about, the water meters if we.
Just FYI, I'm getting nothing.
Okay.
He's giving me his question. If
Okay.
our developer's gonna bring in 140 house, project, and we have to put in the infrastructure, curb and gutter, water, sewer, maybe even gas,
Water tower.
water tower. You're asking, can this work for that purpose?
Right.
That's what he wants to
But
know.
again, what I'm looking at.
Sure, absolutely. So the developers coming in doing the housing, is that what you're saying? Like building the housing?
Yes,
Right, but we may have to put a new
Yes.
water tower.
Then you
stuff.
need to do the infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, we can, absolutely, we can do 100% of the infrastructure on y'all's behalf, that you need to do for that developer,
Okay,
yes.
But asking the question is that if it's, say, it's a
And
$10 million project.
Hold on.
It's a $10 million
Hold on, I will
project.
say this. So roads are still a little sticky point. There are some roads we can do, some roads we can't. We would just have to look at that. But as far as everything else, yes.
he has a part two, hold on one second.
The main thing is whatever the project was, a new fire truck, new fire station, or new housing development, infrastructure is, if it's money that we're getting from them, $10 million, let's say, how do we show that we're gonna be able to pay that back? It's just still like a debt to income ratio, is it not, or?
His question is, if it's a $10 million project, how would we prove that we could pay it back, and meet debt to income ratios and those kind of
He
metrics?
said it's not gonna be on the books or something.
It's not gonna be
And
on our
you
books
cut
as
off my
debt.
head. If it's a $10 million project, how would we, and it just went blank.
How would we pay it back?
So on a $10 million project, we look at scope of work, we look at the useful life of those items, and we would come up with a monthly usage fee. And that's how you would, quote unquote, pay it back through a monthly usage fee.
And those calculations are part of your presentation for the infrastructure projects?
Yeah, so every project, we don't do any kind of cookie cutter, so we're very flexible. So we look at, what is the best way for you to pay it back? Is it, again, going through, talking about water stuff, is it per meter, is it per 1,000 gallons, whatever in this case? Is it, depending on the different factors, again, making it a little flexible, making it what's best for y'all. And so again, also everything's based on a useful life. So for me to just tell you a price of like $10 million on an item that's going to last 5 years, it's going to be a different price than if we put up $10 million on an item that lasts 20 years. But yes, we do all those calculations, present all that to you to where you know all of that way in advance, all transparent, before you ever, sign off on anything, obviously.
Ms. Lynette, Bert mentioned earlier that, with any project that we support or help you guys or fund your guys' project, you guys do not pay us a dime until the project is completed and sign off on. So it could be 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, you don't pay us a dime until that particular project is completed.
Mr. Carter?
So Ms. Hawkins, what is the benefit besides keeping it off our debt to income ratio? And what are some of the benefits plural beyond keeping it off? I mean,
Council member would like to know some additional benefits to this model,
beyond
beyond keeping it out off of debt, off the statements.
Yeah, so we have a lot of value add, so obviously we, keep it off of debt, and we have, so again, one of the things, because we're technically, we have cash in hand, a lot of times we can get stuff cheaper or faster than you can because we're paying people up front. We also keep someone involved with you, what we call an infrastructure specialist. That's going to be the liaison between you and the vendors. And they're there from now on. So again, we're your partners. We're not going anywhere. Again, we're trying to keep your business every 30 days. And so we do a lot of proactive, preventative type things. We don't do the run to fail model. We don't do the Band-Aids. We're constantly trying to keep your infrastructure improving. And so with that, that keeps you from having that problem of XYZ widget fails and your constituents are not happy. Well, we're keeping that widget from failing as best as possible. And again, like I said, if it does fail, your billing immediately stops. So obviously it's advantageous to us to get it fixed or replaced as soon as possible to start the billing back. Like I said, we also have the benefit of, like I was telling you earlier about the Black Swan events, and also just kind of, looking at your, we look at a lot of your financials in the sense of, here's a lot of ways we can save you money, or trying to get you, the best bang for your buck, so to speak. And all those are just different value adds that we have that's all included at quote unquote no extra cost.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Ms. Perez?
So, I'm hearing say that there are 30-day contracts. But, if it's a 20-year project, and new administration comes in 12 years later and decides that they're not happy with it and they want out, but the project's not paid for, would all of it be due in a lump sum, or how is that repayment for a project that's already complete? How would that take place?
The question is,
Yeah, no, I got it. I actually heard her.
okay, all right.
So yes, so let's say, again, like you said, it's a 20-year project. So we actually have two different options. So if it's a movable, say like if you got an electric car and you did, an 8-year deal on an electric car, and 2 years into it, you go, we don't like this anymore. We do have options where you can literally hand us the keys and walk away. On, obviously on other infrastructure like a water meter or buildings or those kind of things where, we're not just going to come in and pick up your infrastructure, which I think is more of in line of what y'all are trying to do. So again, let's look at a 20-year project. So again, we're easy in, easy out. We have money ready to go. We're ready to deploy money in, 60 days. We don't mark up any goods or services. So to make it simple, we have a 20-year project that you're paying, $1 a year, and, you're 10 years into it. So whatever, that project costs $20, we're at $10, and, $10 left, so to speak, kind of there's some calculations, but kind of at a pro-rated deal. And so you say, hey, we want out. So typically it would be, yes, you could pay the $10 and get out. But actually what we do is we bring in a third-party appraiser that you agree to and we agree to, because if you are buying something out, you are by law have to get the value of what you're buying. And so we will bring someone in and they look at it, and again, the widget has supposedly 10 years left at $10, and the appraiser says, well, this widget really only has about 7 years left. So you would pay $7 and you're out. Or the appraiser may say, well, it probably has 12 or 13 years left. And we would go, okay, in our model, in our way, at the end of 10 years, it has zero value to us that you can always get out at zero value. So you would still only pay the $10, more or less, to get out. And so that's kind of how that works. We protect you on both sides. We protect you that if the life is longer, we have built it in to where at the end of that 20 years it has zero life. Or if it's shorter, then that's one of the risks we take, that, you know, you get out at whatever is the life left in that particular item, widget, whatever you want to call it. And so again, that's another way that we mitigate that risk.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I guess, our auditor's sitting here, so I'm trying to figure this out when you say off the books. Does that bother you? Off the books?
I have to say.
My question is, okay, for example, we were looking to buy a trash truck, and we were told by the accountant that we didn't have the funds to, debt ratio to be able to borrow anything. And then it came back that we could. I think right this second, let's just use this as an analogy, that we can borrow $800,000 on the books right this moment, that we have the capacity to borrow that amount, which means we can pay what we have to pay back to be able to pay the $800,000 back if we borrowed that full amount. But if we came to you and said, well, we want to borrow $800,000, then that doesn't go against our debt ratio. But then if we're still paying that same amount out that we would normally have to pay for an $800,000 debt, we're paying that over here, but it's not shown on the books. So then it looks like we can still pay it, but when we really can't pay it, because then we could go to the bank and borrow $800,000 and we're still paying you. And so then how can we pay both? How can that's gonna put us behind, you follow me? On an $800,000 debt, let's say we gotta pay $40,000 a year, and we're paying $40,000 a year for you, and then we still on our books, looks like we can borrow $800,000, and we go to the bank, and the bank says, oh, you can borrow $800,000, then we gotta pay another $40,000 out, but we're already maxed out, we can't pay it. So how does that work by doing it off the books, is my question. Is, we can only pay back so much, we only have so much coming in, so therefore if we borrow it from you or borrow it from somebody else, we can only, whether it's on the book or off the book, we still gotta pay that amount back. And there's only so much money coming in.
Right.
Unless I raise everybody's water rates again.
Yeah, so one, I understand what you're saying. So let's say you go to us first, and again, it's not on your book. So here's the thing is, we're on your books, but we're not on your books as debt. So it's, you know, if we're the first ones and you come to us and you're paying us $40,000 a month and you go to the bank is still gonna see that $40,000 a month going out, but it would be no different than if it was $40,000 a month going out to the electric bill. It's part of your expenses, and that's what the bank's gonna look at. But when you're trying to get some kind of a rating or something like that, we're not debt on your books. We are on your books as an expense, but we're not on your books as debt. That's the difference.
So how does that benefit us?
It just gives us more.
Well, meaning keep your bond rating or whatever you wanna, look at.
I'm saying that you can't borrow.
Yeah, but I mean, we can spend more than let's just say the 40,000 like you were saying. We can obviously spend more than that if we wanted to right now. But the state just has these precautions in there just to safeguard cities so they don't go bankrupt. That's the whole reason with the debt to income. So you would still have the ability to go out and borrow if he needed to. He's just gonna hide the debt essentially and not get it to count against you. Then it's a question of interest rates at that point as well.
But the way he's explaining it, comparing it to your electric bill, you know you always have that. You may not know it to that, but that doesn't stop you from making any other financial dealing. And I assume that that's what you're saying here, that and by them putting up money in the up front for it, it will be, you know, like the electric company providing me power, and I got to pay for it, but it's nothing. I got the
It's just
debt,
like,
yeah.
we can all
So I
go
can
to
see
these
that.
credit card, they'll give you 0% or 0% interest for 6 months to buy something you shouldn't have bought in the first place. Another
Okay,
way.
so you're making some sense now.
You just have to be careful because just like Mr.
Yeah,
Ray
you
said,
always
for
gotta
the
be
next
careful when you deal with
group come
finance.
along, we understand that we're at this level, and the next group comes along,
But that's the reason for the presentations and
they go, oh, well, we got all this borrowing power still, and then they over budget and stuff.
But I think what he, just so for clarity, just to make certain we're all on the same page, I think what you're saying is, if you were doing a project for us, we are making monthly payments to you like we do any other utilities and any other billing. It's not reflecting that we owe still $10 million on our book like it would if we went to the bank to take a loan. We're just making payments. So that, I think, is what he's saying is the difference. Nowhere will it look like we have that type of debt. It just looks like we have a monthly payment that we have to do every month. And the bank would take, or anyone would take that into consideration when we are trying to go for a loan. The fact that we have this obligation, this monthly obligation, they just won't necessarily know that it's a $10 million obligation. They just know that it's a monthly debt of $40,000 that we have to pay.
Right, that $10 million is not showing up in your books versus, you know, it'd be no different than if you went and built another city hall and all of a sudden the electric bill is $40,000 a month. Well, that's gonna go into, you know, your expenses and what the bank would look at of, here's your revenue, here's your expenses. But the bank's not gonna see, here's your revenue and here's a debt that you owe. Because it is a monthly usage fee.
Sure.
Would you just please tell him I'm a visual person, so I just like some literature in my hands at some point?
Member Gardner has asked for a brochure or some type of literature. He likes to see things visually.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. We can get all kinds of stuff to you. We'll, you know, send you our, you know, it's S.Dot Partners is a website. There's all kind of stuff there. But yes, absolutely, we can send you whatever material you're looking for.
If you've got any other references of people that he's worked with, we might be talking.
You have any other cities that you can share with us that you worked with before or working with them?
Yes, again, absolutely. We have plenty of references. Again, you have plenty of references on the website. You know, so we, you know, what we'll try to do is see exactly the projects you're trying to do and you know, kind of match you up with someone who's done something just like it or similar to it, those kind of things, so that you can talk to them and see. You know, the biggest complaint I get from our customers is, you know, like I said, with Pearl River, Mississippi, the mayor said, Bert, you did everything that you said you were going to do, except you lied to me about one thing. I was like, oh, Lord, Mayor, what did I lie about? He goes, I'm making more money than you ever said I was. So those are the kind of complaints I love to hear.
You have one more question?
Just what, the website, what's the website?
S.Dot Partners.
S, what now?
Dot.
Yes, S.Dot Partners.
Oh, S.Dot Partners, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate
Okay,
you all.
thank y'all. Okay, thanks.
Yep, you have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, 2024, 2025 audit presentation, Mr. Hancock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was interesting. Very interesting.
How's that make you feel?
What make it do?
Never mind.
share with some other clients potentially.
What about that? I'm gonna have to do that, there's a lot of reading needs to be done on that pitch.
I hear you.
A lot of reading. Okay. Everybody should have, a gray bound copy of our report that y'all need to see. And you should also have a separate letter from our firm directly to members of the Board of Governance, which is you. Alright, so we're gonna go kind of pick things off as they come one at a time. First off, the governance letter that you have in front of you, that's the same exact language you've seen for each of the several past years. That's letting you know directly from us what we did, if there were any problems that we came into, arguments or disagreements with management, any consultations with outside firms or the use of experts. And the long and short of this is we didn't have any issues, there's really nothing to report here outside of that. All right, number two, I'm going to scratch off the list. 2025, the city of Darlington, you had what's known as a single audit, meaning you spent more than $750,000 of federally sourced money during the fiscal year. We don't have any information or opinions on that tonight. You might ask why, and I ask why all year. That's because the compliance supplement wasn't issued until last week. It was issued November the 24th for entities that are effective with the year ends of June 15th, 2025 and later. We have done the work. We're putting the opinion letters together, and you'll be given that in sometime in the near future. But we want to get your financial statements done. These are audited numbers, and so you're using this information to base budgets, to have rates, utility rate discussions and so forth. So we want to get this information out as soon as we can.
Was that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, was that on our, Mayor? Was that on our end or on the feds?
Well, the feds didn't give me the rules to test your single audit stuff until last week.
That's my question, thank you.
Okay? But I'm checking. We kind of knew what they were going to be because they issued a draft back in September. But AICPA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, says as a best practice, none of you firms issue any opinions where you don't know what the rules are in their final form. And we said, that sounds like pretty sound advice. You know? So, all right, now that that's out of the way. In your bound gray report, I'm gonna jump around a little bit because this is the way it's formatted. We'll start at page 1 though. This is our opinion on your financial statements when a third party from outside, vendors, or your taxpayers, or your ratepayers, they want to know, if I look at this set of financial statements, are they right? Well, based on the work that we did, we feel like that they're materially correct in all respects. They may not be perfect down to the 39-cent rounding error, but the user can look at this and rely on them for any kind of purposes of making decisions about doing business with the county, the city, and what kind of financial shape you folks are in. All right? Jumping around, going to the next to the last, and the last page of your report should be 46 and 47. And we've talked about these things before. These are what I call the secondary opinions of your report. The first part of that is on page 46. We talk about your report on internal controls over financial reporting. As you're well aware, there is no perfect system of financial reporting because human beings take part in it. And I could make any internal control system better than it is now, but it would come at a cost, and we have to ask ourselves: is the cost for that improvement more or less than the benefit that would be gained? So, as an example, and if I've used this example before this board before, apologize, bear with me. For cash disbursements, right now, things come into City Hall, they're reviewed, they're approved, they're signed off on, they're paid, and they're recorded. There's a system. I could make that system even stronger if I had the mayor and all members of council review every check before it left here. But what benefit would we gain from that? What benefit would we gain from that, and what would it be worth? In other words, there's no more juice to be squeezed out of that orange. All right, and so we go to page 47, and we talk about compliance and other matters. That is whether or not the city is following the rules by folks who are externally imposing them upon you. You got federal agencies, state agencies, payroll tax withholdings, retirement withholdings, health insurance withholdings. We didn't come in here and camp out and say we're gonna dig and dig and dig until we find something. over the course of our work that we did do, where we're verifying different parts of your financial system, we didn't find any errors. Your payroll tax deposits were made on time. You sent your police fine money in on time and in the right amounts. You withheld and matched your health insurance and sent it in to people on time and in the right amounts, so. All right. So now that we've gotten through all that, and we're looking at some financial statements, let's take a look at some numbers. After all that, we get to the numbers. All right, let's go to page 10. Page 10, this is just your general fund. This is the main operating fund of the city. It does not include water sewer, it does not include stormwater. This is just the general services part of what goes on at City Hall. You can see we're comparing our revenues and expenditures by department or source, what we budgeted versus what the actual results came in, and we're looking at the difference, right? It's hard to judge. You never really know because there's so many moving parts on guessing your revenues. You think you know what your property taxes are gonna be based on what they were last year, based on whether or not there was a countywide assessment, based on if there was a millage rate change. But then you really don't have a handle on the growth that might have come in or the change in the classification of the real property, all right? So your property taxes, we ended up with a variance of almost $500,000 more than what we had budgeted, which is good.
Okay.
But there's no way we could have predicted that. Go down 2 lines where it's called intergovernmental revenue. That was about $300,000 variance to the good. We just don't know when the state's gonna turn the spigot and we're gonna get more in, say, accommodations tax and other state source revenue, okay? So that's a little bit of explanation on why you have the difference in your revenue. You ended up about $1.5 million as a positive variance in the general fund for revenues, all right? And if you see in the middle part of the page, you see where you got your expenditures broken down by department, or whether it's capital outlay or debt service, all right? You can see what jumps off the page is that we spent more in capital outlay than we had budgeted. Well, as you folks know, when you have to spend money for capital outlay, it's usually for something big, right? And just as an example, if you have a garbage truck go down, you have to buy another garbage truck. Whether you have it budgeted for the garbage truck or not, you got to have a garbage truck, right? Just to use that as an example. So we're not always gonna hit on the expenditures either. Either way, when we talk about, if we look at the bottom, you can see we had proceeds from some debt, we sold some capital assets, there's some transfers from your other funds. And so the general fund, it ended up with a positive variance, or excuse me, surplus for the year of $1,371,000, which is good.
Yes.
Because you have a roughly an $8 or $9 million budget, and you got a fund balance of a little over half of that, all right? So the general fund appears to be in fairly decent operating shape. Now, can that net revenue over expenses go up or down? Yes, and it does, and it has. All right, I don't have the prior year's information with me, but if you go back and look, you don't always showing such favorable outcomes. All right. All right, now let's go to page 12. This is a statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in your net position in your proprietary funds. This is the water sewer fund and your stormwater fund. All right. You can see your service revenue, and you can see your operating expenses. And the number on the page that we need to pay attention to here is operating income or loss. You can see the water sewer fund lost about $203,000. Your stormwater fund made about $344,000. So why don't we include other things below the line? Well, interest income and interest expense don't have a single thing to do with delivering water or collecting water and treating it, right? And so we pull that stuff out. That's not an operating expense. We got capital grants for about $1.7 million this year. That was federal money. That's not part of any operating. What that does, we're bringing that in and we're turning around and basically putting it in the ground, right?
Okay.
Right. And so, all in all, we ended up with a $202,000 loss in the water sewer fund. That's concerning. I think the city 3 years ago, engaged a company to do a rate study. Does that ring a bell? Okay. Well, the folks that do that rate study, they don't just take into consideration what your rates need to be to pay your light bill. They try, if it's done right, and engineers participate, they'll take a look at your system. They'll assess what the age is and what the future rehab, reconditioning costs are. They'll estimate what your expansion costs might be, given the demographics and the way it seems like everywhere in South Carolina is growing. And so they'll tell you what your rates need to be to cover all of those different things. And before you talk about rehab and replacing and expanding, just from simple operations, chemicals go up every single year, health insurance goes up every single year, cost of labor goes up every single year. So if you're not going up incrementally, you're moving backwards, okay? And if you don't go up incrementally, then all of a sudden, several years pass by, you paint yourself to a corner, you're looking at a 30% increase. And those are difficult, all right? So I want to bring that to your attention, make sure that everybody has a good handle on it. I'll pause here for any questions. Yes, ma'am.
So, I was looking at the information from last year, and I see when you did, remember last year in March when you did this presentation, I think there was a $250,000 deficit, last year. So, in the water sewer fund at that time, it lost almost $250,000. So the fact that we actually had, at least general fund, there was a surplus, I guess that's a good thing. Because I remember, a few years ago, you did advise about scrutinizing, you said in 2021, to scrutinize on a very detailed level where the money is going. Is that something that we suggest that we still need to do at this point?
You all have been doing
Feeling
it,
better
and you
about-
continue to.
Okay.
There's no lack of transparency on where the money's going. The focus now needs to be on, do we have a rate schedule that will support not only the system as is, but will it support funding the rehab and repairs, and then the capital improvements and extensions and so forth. And that's the question that the rate study folks will answer for you. They'll tell you what your rate study needs to be. You're gonna have to have a fixed rate, just in order to tap in, you gotta pay this much a month.
Yeah.
And then you start paying volumetric as it goes.
Was the rate study actually done? I remember, was that rate study? That predates me.
It was, so
It wasn't.
there was we've been going back and forth about doing a incremental increase every year. There's ordinances other cities have passed where it just naturally goes up 2%, 5%, whatever the number is. Is that something that you would advise us to do, what you're telling us?
As a best practice and a little bit of personal preference, I think that if this board institutes an annual increase as an automatic, I think you tie the hands of future administrations. And I think that something as important and as sensitive as rate increases, I think it deserves this board's attention every single year. When I say this board, I'm talking about whatever board is doing it, because, and I think that it's as important, if not more so, than a budget ordinance. Okay, so that's my personal take on it. Now, is it legal to do what you just said? Yes, but I think you're gonna build a bigger consensus if you do this more often, because it's out up front for everybody to see, ask questions. Did we talk about this last year? Yeah, that kind of thing.
My understanding, the legality sense on that front as well is no current council can be held to a previous council's, but with it being an ordinance or law, you might be right. But
I'm not an attorney, and I'm just telling you.
we ran into that issue in my tenure, and I know that it can't be held to a previous council's vote on something.
But if you do it every year, you don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Right. Any other
And
questions?
that's your recommendation, that's all, we should at least be discussing it and kind of coming up with something.
Well, I'll say it's the best practice.
Yeah.
Making recommendations would assume that you're doing something wrong.
Right, okay.
When an auditor speaks, so we don't make recommendations, because if we do, we're just telling you that what you're currently doing is wrong.
Doing it's
We want
not
you to
all
change
right,
it another way.
gotcha.
I'm just saying, best practice is done in other places.
I got you. Very good.
Okay. There are other things that we could talk about. don't know how much folks you've already had tonight, but we can talk about the situation and the different issues with your long-term debt. We can talk about your share of the unfunded pension plan. We could talk about, what else we have in here?
So repeat that again, what you said about the pension plan, because that's extremely important.
Okay, so on your books is what the state considers your share of the unfunded pension liability. All right, so let me go a little bit, back up here. The state has this much money invested to pay for pension benefits, and actuaries believe that it's gonna take this much to do it. Okay, and so this gap is the unfunded portion. And now you got my blood pressure going up. So, anyway, how do they get here? How do they figure how much is gonna be owed? All right? Y'all go to page, you got me started, 34.
While we're doing that, is that a liability they can put on our heads, or is that their fault?
Well, it doesn't matter whose fault it is, the reporting requirement says it goes on your financial statement. Now, I agree with the line that you're going, is because even if you had the money to pay them off, they wouldn't let you. So why are you putting it on my books? But that's just the accounting rules. You're making my blood pressure go up even higher. I should remember I told y'all we got this much money set aside to pay benefits, and they have said that it's gonna cost this. And so let's talk about how they get to this number. We're on page 34, okay? Let's look at the first table. They're assuming that every single state, county, city, and every employee in the system is gonna get between a 3% raise and 11% raise every single year. That sound good, Gloria? Huh?
It sounds good.
Well, that's an
I
assumption.
wish we got.
That's an assumption that they're making in here. They're assuming this amount here, that wages are gonna increase this much every single year. We can all have our opinions on whether or not that's realistic. All right, if you think that they're not gonna increase that much, then this number will come down. All right, in the second table, public safety and firefighters. They're looking at males and females that are in public retirement systems. And for the males that are deputy sheriffs, EMS folks, firefighters, they're putting a multiplier on their life of 127%, and 107% if they're female. Make it make sense. How is a firefighter in South Carolina gonna live to be 100 when the average person's only gonna live to be 80? And in doing so, they're adding 20 years to the benefit payments. Again, got to this up, yes. They're saying if he's gonna live 127%, we're gonna have to pay him out to the end of his life. So if he's gonna live this much longer, it's gonna cost this much more to pay. Okay? I didn't make this up, so don't.
I'm sorry.
All right. So if you don't believe either one of those two scenarios to be gospel truth, then the unfunded liability is probably a lot less. And just in general terms, okay? So to your question, why is this on our financial statements? The Governmental Accounting Standards Board came up with this and said there's a lot of, when they came up with this was in 2011, 2012, 2013, there were a lot of pensions that were really severely underwater. And when South Carolina, they looked at South Carolina, it was too. And so they said, the legislature said we had to fix it because we're gonna have to report this underfunding. And so the state law reads that whenever the pension plan of the state of South Carolina has a shortfall or needs to be bolstered, the legislature will provide for additional funds to be put in. Well, they did. They jacked up the employee withholding and they took y'all's match way up. Match is over 20% for a police system, police officer. And 9.75% of the money's coming out of his check already. So there's almost 30%, there's over 30% of his comp going to retirement combined. But the system, because of that, the system has got up as much more healthy. Now, as soon as the system reaches a funding rate of 85%, they're gonna incrementally start bringing those withholding rates down 1% a year, just like they took them up 1% a year from, I think it was 17 through 22, they had to pause on the increase for COVID year. Okay, y'all know much more about pensions now than you wanted to, don't you?
When do they,
I'm telling you.
Mr. Carter?
any anticipated idea of when they'll start coming back down?
We're doing our best. I think the funded ratio now is between 70 and 74%. It's simple. If we can outperform the 7% benchmark, every bit over that goes to pay down the debt, so to speak. At 7%, we mark time. They're saying that the liability is going to grow by 7%, so they're projecting the assets to grow by 7%. Liability only grows by 7% actuarially. We come back at 12% like we did this past year. That's 5% more on a $50 billion pot. So that's $2.5 billion more than they were expecting to have, and so the funding level goes up. We're trying.
I asked that, but gracious day. Oof. How about ask you another question?
Any more questions on this? Like I said, this does not contain any of the compliance work, the schedule of expenditures of federal aid, and it doesn't contain the opinion that goes along with it. That's forthcoming. That's just on the money that got spent from federal sources. We've accounted for the treatment of it. We just haven't given you opinion on the compliance part on that piece.
I guess I'll just ask the question again. You didn't give me a year. Do you have any idea? I know you don't like to talk in realities of things you're guessing at. You mind giving me your opinion, as you did earlier,
On,
when it will get funded and when they can start bringing it back?
you tell me how the stock market's gonna do the next 3 years. I would like to have it done, I'd like to have it done in 3 to 5 years, Councilman, all joking aside.
Okay.
The capital market outlook for 2026 are very positive by most accounts. And you gotta remember there's gonna be a delay too, because all the reporting's a year behind, because we don't get to see what happened until the following year. So once we hit that mark, it'll be a year later, and then it's gonna get tossed around in the State House. So again, if you could tell me what mood they're gonna be in that week, I can give you insight into how the decision will work out. You folks know how to get a hold of me and our staff that worked on this. If you got any questions, let us know. We're gonna come back and give you the compliance report for your federal money. But if, I found it pretty helpful if y'all wanna do sometimes councils like to do a budget workshop or a finance workshop. If y'all need one of us here, we can tell you about the best practices that we see in other parts of the state. And we're not advising, we're just saying, well, here's what they do over here, it seems to work. Show you how working is, how that works. Put that out there for you too.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if y'all need me anymore here tonight, I'd ask to be excused.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen,
Have a good night, Mr. Bill.
bye. Yes, sir.
Great job. Thank you so much.
Motion to approve the audit presentation.
I'll motion that we approve the 2024-2025 audit presentation, Mr. Hancock with Birmingham and Group.
Okay, I'll second.
Mr. McRavin. Ms. Backus. Speakers? Motion is carried, thank you. If I can remind the audience and all the police, kind of refrain from talking so we can make sure that we're getting everything done and be able to hear what's being said clearly. Appreciate it. And, all right, thank you.
We didn't say anything.
Approval of 2026 regular council meeting schedule. I think she has it here. Tuesday, January the 6th, Tuesday, February the 3rd, Tuesday, March the 3rd, Tuesday, April the 7th, Tuesday, May the 5th, Tuesday, June the 2nd, Tuesday, July the 7th, Thursday in August, so the Tuesday, Tuesday, September 1st, Tuesday, October the 6th, Wednesday, November the 4th, and Tuesday, December the 1st. Ms. McRavin.
I would ask, or like to inquire of the other council members because the election day is on Tuesday, November 3rd, which is why that meeting is being moved. We did a Wednesday meeting, but we still in the Bible Belt. That's a church Bible study night. We moved the other meeting up in August to a Thursday night because National Night Out is the first Tuesday. And that meeting is on a Thursday. If we be consistent and if we're moving them, that we move them on the same night and that be a Thursday night in November as well, since we're doing Thursday in August.
So you wanna move it to?
Thursday, November 5th.
Or 5th, 10th or 5th?
Have no problem.
5th is a Thursday. Anybody have a preference on that?
No, I got no problem with that.
Everybody good for the 5th?
Okay.
Any other changes? Okay. We have a motion to approve the scheduled dates for the city council meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting schedule, the 2026 city council schedule.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Ms. Reed? Gordon?
Aye.
Seaver? Motion's carried, thank y'all. All right, item 4, cleanup and removal of fence on city property of East Broad Street. I just wanted to ask everybody if you would to take time, not to vote on it tonight or anything, but just go by and look at the property that the city owns. And on the next meeting, we can kind of decide, talk about whichever. A lot of cleanup over there where Georgia said they spent a lot of money over there. Wells Park cleaned up really well over there. Sam Evans has spent a lot of money on the 5 buildings over there. The apartment's been built. The whole area's starting to look really good. The fence looks really rough. It doesn't have a gate or anything on it. Mr. Evans is gonna finish getting the rest of that dirt, the pipes and all that are over there cleaned up and moved, so that parking lot is cleaned back up. That was being used temporarily for holding dirt and pipes for the structure that's going down Broad Street. But just asking to see about possibly removing that fence. I talked to Lee, and he said his guys could remove the fence and cut it down, dispose of it. So it would be at no cost, but just make that parking lot area a lot cleaner until we decide what we want to do with it. So if you would just take time, maybe to look at that, and we can discuss that next time on the next agenda. Okay. Item number 5, late water bill discussion, Mr. Gardner.
Well, I guess I'll motion to approve, just so we can start the discussion. Usually we're supposed to be doing the motion before we actually, discuss the project, just trying to get us back into that habit.
There's nothing to it. There's nothing to it. The motion to approve is about the discussion of the.
Well, I guess we can just discuss it then. So I think parliamentary procedure says you're supposed to bring the item up, motion, second, and then discuss it. And so you just start working on it. At the end of the day, this discussion just, we had a billing, issue with the company that we contract with when it comes to the water bills. There's a late fee that was added in to people who didn't know about it. There was I think a week or 2 week extension on the late fee timeline, but I don't know, council, for instance, didn't know about the extension. And so my thought was since we didn't get the bill out in time, that we may forgive those late fees. If we were to do such a thing like that, it would turn out to be $27,386.49 the city would lose in revenues. I talked to the head of the water and sewer department, and he says if we so move, he could credit it to their bills of the past. Not a majority of it, but a good percentage of it is actually corporations, at least a few $1,000s of it. I don't know if we want to include them or not, but we could. But it's something I just wanted to see what council's thoughts was on the subject.
Well, my thought is because as you started out, it was a faulty on the company that we have. And that should never be passed on to our customers. So I don't see why that should even be a discussion. That should have been a decision made in the department, should have never even come to have a discussion about it. When it was obvious that it was the fault of that people we hired, not our constituents, not our residents here.
Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't make any sense.
When I first heard about the issue, I actually reached out, and my assumption was that we weren't charging a late fee this month, but evidently management didn't come to that conclusion. They figured that 2 weeks was good enough, and so that's the decision they made. He now says that if council wants to change that, then he'll be happy to honor it.
Well, yeah, I mean, because in this instant, it is known that it is a fault of the company we paying to send out the bill.
Well, I agree.
Okay, so in this instant, it's not something that we're gonna have some policy about going on.
Mrs. Hawkins, is already been determined by the water department, by yourself, the administration, to waive the late fees for last month?
I didn't have a discussion with anybody about that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's why we brought it up. We didn't know if it was a decision on your part that you could do, or if you wanted us to discuss it, or if it needed to be done. It was no fault to the city. It was not a fault from the city. It was a fault from the third party, kind of glitch. The water department ladies don't sit in there and mail out the bills, and they didn't run late putting the bills out. They send it in, and then the third party that does the bills send it out late for a glitch, and so therefore a lot of people didn't get the water bill. And everybody should know when the water bill's done, but a lot of people get used to seeing that piece of paper. That piece of paper ain't there. We felt like that it should be a courtesy to the city, from the city, even though it wasn't our fault. The customer should be charged that late fee. But again, I don't know if Ms. Hawkins has the authority to do it, or if we have to give her the authority to do it.
Okay, this needs to be cleared up. There's a lot of discussion. I didn't see anything in my bill that said that I had a late fee.
Did you pay your bill on time?
Mine's drafted, so there ain't no question about whether it is or not. So that's why I'm saying, where was that, when is this? You all know about a late fee being charged. That never came to me at all.
Ms. McRavin?
Well, I think it says on the bill, it still said that if you didn't pay your bill by the 15th, that you would owe, it would increase with that late fee. Because that's how it always is.
Mm-hmm.
But, personally, I would say, I really want to discuss, because the water bill, even the first of last year, prior to this current city manager, would arrive late. you know, you're getting the bill on the 9th and the bill's still due on the 5th, and it's really not fair. And I know we try to say, yes, they can call the water department and ask what your bill is because because they can tell you, but like, who really does that? And should you really have to do that? They shouldn't have to do that. And I realize, during talking with some of the employees, they said that especially when there's a holiday, if they've been off, it can push things back. It'll delay the company getting the information, and it can end up creating a delay in citizens receiving the bill. But with that being said, maybe we need to actually consider moving the date so that people will have at least a full 2 weeks to make payment on the bill. That if we maybe move the date to the 20th, so if there is a slight delay because of a holiday, they still have time to make the payment before the late fee gets assessed.
I just wanna have
Well,
a
maybe-
Mr. Carter.
So, point of order, as much as I agree with that, I brought that subject up years ago. That is a subject that I would support you on 100%, Ms. McRavin. But unfortunately, that is an agenda item tonight, and it's not. This is a late water bill discussion.
That is late water bill.
That's a later one.
So, moving the date of it though is not part of the discussion,
That's
but I
just
think
idea.
that is, the next work session will be a lovely topic to discuss.
Ms. Hawkins.
So I think maybe we need to put something in writing in place. I'll give the city manager the authority to put something in writing for the water department that says, that they will physically have in writing, that says if the water bill is late due to an error of the company sending them out, that the late fee would not be charged until whenever. Instead of just charging them the automatically late fee on the 15th, whichever day the thing is due. We should give the city manager, or we need to put something in place in writing for the water department. That way it takes the discretion out of their hands
Ms.
and
Reed.
eliminate this problem.
Ms. Reed.
Okay.
Ms. Reed.
Oh, kind of going along with what Ms. Backus is saying. I was just under this. They were late, and that notice about your late fee is automatic. It comes anyway, so it's going to be there. But because this was, I just don't see where we need to do anything, because it's up to the department. When you have a problem like that, it's not passed on to the resident. That's up to them. It's up to this department not to even try to collect a late fee when it is not the citizens or resident. Because that's not gonna happen next month, and that same language gonna be on the bill. It's not gonna happen a couple of months down. It's an isolated incident. So when it does that, what I mean, you're gonna have these kind of problems if we start trying to anticipate everything and put a piece of a policy in place. My thing is, they're the ones. That department should be able to function if a problem exists. It's common sense. To me, in a situation like this, when it is the fault of that company, either make the company pay it, and if you feel like you gotta be paid. But you see how absurd that is. But I don't know. We just kind of get bogged down in all kinds of stuff and not looking at.
All right, thank you, Ms. Reed. Ms. Backus, you were next.
No, Ms. Hawkins had her hand up.
Yeah.
Ms. Hawkins, ready?
I know y'all probably gonna not like this statement, but I try to
Do what
keep you informed that your ordinance says not getting a bill does not absolve you of paying your bill. Not getting a paper bill does not absolve you of paying your bill and paying it on time. So that has been reflected back to me, not on this occasion, but you may need to amend that
Revisit that ordinance.
Okay.
We need to revisit that ordinance.
And I have been told they are kind of
Please address the whole one at a time.
within the boundaries of what is in place right now.
Gotcha. All right.
Mr. Gardner?
All right, is this something you're comfortable with doing? Or actually with that ordinance, I think that kind of takes it out your hands, so it'd be something council would have to do. So.
And that's what they reflected to me, Ms. Hawkins, we are going by what's the council has put in place.
Nice.
I would like to make a motion that we waive the late fee for the previous month because of the billing issue, in the amount of $27,386.49. This would just go to credit to the person who got charged, I guess, a late fee, at the following month on a bill. And secondary thing I'd like to add to this motion is that we reach out to the company and ask if they would waive the fee that they charged us this past month for the service. Not saying they have to do it, but it's always, doesn't hurt to ask.
Wow, that's a lot of,
You want me to separate them?
yeah.
Okay. I'd like to amend my motion to only deal with the water bill issue of the late fee and ask that the city credit the residents who were charged a late fee. That's it. And the next month's follow-up bill.
Well, I will second that, as long as it's
Mr. McRavin?
not charged.
Mr. McRavin? Ms. Baggett? Okay, Mr. Sanders? Well, my turn to talk, I guess, before I can vote yes. I agree that the citizens should have known, but I also agree that the citizens, there's a lot of citizens out there that don't. I know a lot of bills I get, I screw up and I go, well, you didn't send me a paper bill, you used to have that paper bill. So therefore, we should give the citizens that money back, and make sure that from here out, that it's corrected. But so that the council knows, the reason we put this on there was because we didn't feel like they had the authority to do this. That's why we were asking for the authority to be able to do this. It was just a real clean cut case.
Say that again.
Help the citizens out. Help the citizens out.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, so my motion is yes.
Okay.
That should have taken about 3 minutes. All right, thank you. Board commission appointments, tree board appointment.
I'd like a motion to approve Jay James.
No.
Is it out?
Albert.
I'd like the motion to
Ms. Hawkins, you have a report?
Good evening again. This is really going to be short. I wanted to ask you all to keep our the family of our belated member of our employees, staff in prayer over this difficult time with these holidays. This is one of the times that it would probably be harder to be without your loved ones. So remember the McRae family and the Mason family. Also, I wanted to say that the nearly year that I've been here, that I've come to know quite a few people here in the community that I did not know, and develop relationships with the employees. And they have shown much resilience over the past 12 months over many things, particularly in water and sewer, utilities, as well as public works particularly. But all of them have something to be challenged by in order to serve the citizens of Darlington. As by way of a kind of like a update, if you will, just a few things that were on our agenda for the year, this past year. Mayor, you asked for a texting service. We now have Text My Gov, and if you haven't received or gotten a text from there. We got one last week, I think it was, on Wednesday, to let us know, what was it about?
The trash.
About the trash. So if you're in this general vicinity, you are automatically put on the list. And if you wanted to, you opted out. So if you're not on there, please see Hunter or I, Mr. Thomas or I, and we'll get you on to the Text My Gov list. Mary also asked for a contact page. We do have a contact page listed under our departmental telephones. And as I said last January, if you have an issue, talk to the department head. And if that department head can't help you, come talk to me and we'll get it fixed for you. But the contact page is there too if it's something that you feel like I don't really need to talk to someone right away. If I can just email you something really quick and get an answer by email, that is also available to you. We're now in the process of getting our payroll system together. This will give us some more effectiveness and efficiency as it relates to our small but mighty administrative team. And so that will give them some more time back in their day to get some automation in there. It will also be more, the employees will have more of a tie to their information, like their W-2s and changing their W-4s. It will be done electronically, and we won't have to do key punching to get information into the system to process. The credit card processing is on its way to the inspections department, and business licensing as well as permitting will be able to use the credit card function, whether by telephone, online, or in person. They'll have a processing machine. The Brightly software, we've got all our data into them, and they are now doing their data integration and putting that software together. The benefits, I'll remind you of that, is being able to do work orders and be able to push those work orders out to the field and then see that it's done. And I can go and call back, Mr. Abbott, it's done. They did it at 2 p.m. today, and if you have any other problems, let us know. I'll also be able to use it in fleet management. And also one of the things that we probably critical, we just talked about infrastructure, is maintaining what we have, what condition our infrastructure is in, when was it built. Like this building was built in 1963, we would have all that data to say, hey, yeah, the facilities do need to be updated or what have you. We have more data to make decisions about budgeting, about even issuing debt or being able to handle debt. We'll know more about our asset management. That particular piece of software is going to be integrated throughout all departments at some point, but right now we're just using the utilities and public works at this time. We've also what came here while the splash pad was in progress, and that was finished. The fields at Blue Street, we went out there and worked along with Recreation and Mr. Andrews to see about that huge project we did with the baseball fields. The city also is substantially completed the upgrade to the pool on Gary Street. That was pointed out to something that I had a particular interest in, and just as by way of explanation, I'm not gonna tell you my age, but I'm a older lady that don't know how to swim. And so when it was told, I was like, well, why was that? It was my first project, and I don't know how to swim, so I want all people, young, babies, old, to learn how to swim, and that's on its way with our partner families engagement. So that was one reason why it was a delight for me to work on the project, because I can't swim, and I need to, and I want everybody to learn how to swim. By way of I didn't write it down, and now it is, and I think I'm losing my voice. I don't know why. Those were just some of the things we've done. On the horizon, we are not only going to do the Paycor, the Brightly processing system. I have the staff and I have looked into doing a broadcasting message to say, hey, the bills are late, not due to our fault, but here is when the bill is due. If you need to call in and find out, there's a number you can call and find out what your bill is. And that message is broadcast over all of the city and or just those that haven't paid by the 10th of the month. We'll send you a reminder. That's on the horizon, as well as we found out that we've been writing off quite a bit of money, accounts that are for people who left or and didn't remember to pay their last bill. So we're going to work with a company that I've worked with before in North Carolina to start that process. I'm not going to repeat the number. It is a huge number, and I hope to do at least 50% to 70% of that we can recoup back into our coffers. Also, we are going to do a similarly program similar to something we started while we were in Lake City. They have a program, it's a roundup program. So let's say your bill is $19.19 or 20 cents. That 80 cents would be put into a fund to help people who are not able to make their payments. They would be able to do twice a year. It would be handled by an outside nonprofit. We don't have anything signed, so I can't tell you who that nonprofit would be, but they work with all of our population and all of our citizens to serve in that particular need or benefit. We were able to celebrate all of our employees last week. And I also want to mention, I didn't have him come today, but I also want to mention our Employee of the Year for 2025 was Dana Chrisley. If you see him, give him a hooray and thank him for being a great representative of someone that wants to serve, ready to get after it. Don't turn down an assignment and just go get the job done. And at this time, I'm going to take my seat unless there's any questions, anything I left out. I'm trying to remember those things.
Thank you.
We're going to table the executive session until the host council's here.
Say what?
See, what now?
We'll table the executive session until all council's here.
How come?
Why?
There's a
I mean,
No.
Master, for it to be tabled.
legal.
No.
Make a motion for it to be tabled. Do I have a second? Gardner,
Nah.
Ms. Reed,
Lady.
what?
Yes,
Ms. Reed.
yes or no?
What about council?
Make a motion to table the executive session.
Okay, who made the motion and who seconded? I
I made
didn't
the
hear none
motion.
of
The
that.
mayor made the motion, Gardner seconded.
Oh, okay.
I did a second, John Seegers
Oh,
did, but I
so
voted.
it's Carter.
You voted for your vote?
No.
Say no.
I said no.
Ms. Bates,
No.
Craig,
No.
okay, it's tied, so it's voted.
Excuse me?
That's not the way
It's
it's
tied.
written.
So we'll have to go to
That's
executive
not
session.
Sir,
And it's tied to fail, so we'll have to go into executive session.
Of course.
All motion to go into executive session.
Yeah, second. Goodness, I'm gonna stop all these games, Mayor.
make a motion. You
This is legal.
Excuse me?
vote, you go into executive session?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. McRavin. See. Elaine, you seconded, right?
I did, yes.
Thank you.